Hey there, and welcome back to my channel, Weirdly O.C.D. Today's video was a suggestion from a subscriber from the live stream that I did just this past Wednesday, and that was to talk about how to get out of credit card debt, or at least my own personal experience of how I got out of credit card debt, and my experience with filing bankruptcy and things like that. We kind of sorted, I'm not sure how really, I don't remember, got to talking about that, and they suggested that I do a video on that. So I figured I would do a sit down kind of Q&A thing where I will answer questions about my experience with filing for bankruptcy and the follow-up to it. So here we go. My credit card debt, I believe, pretty much started when I turned 18. When you turn 18, credit card companies are constantly sending you offers in the mail. Hey, sign up for this. Hey, sign up for that card. We'll give you this exorbitant amount of credit. And exorbitant to me is like $3,000. That's the highest limit that I had on a credit card, and it was an American Express. And I so regret letting that lapse and losing that, because from what I've heard, I'm not 100% sure, but I've heard it's kind of difficult to get an American Express card. So I do regret letting that lapse. But, I was 18, 19 years old. I thought, hey, I can go out. I've got all this free money and go out and buy things. Of course, it never occurred to me that this stuff had to be paid back. So it piled up and piled up, and I kept accepting more credit card offers. Now, I don't want to make it sound like I had like 15 credit cards or anything like that. It was nothing like that. I think at one time, the most I had was maybe 4 or 5, but still. So yeah, in my teenage 18, 19, 20-year-old mind, I thought, oh, this is so awesome. I'm getting approved for all these cards. I've got this $300 limit here, this $2,000 limit here. Woohoo, let's go shopping. Yeah, it's not that simple, and it definitely is not the way it goes. I didn't really come to the instant conclusion in filing for bankruptcy. Another decision that I had made, the result of that actually led me to filing bankruptcy. So I did a little bit of research and decided that I wanted to do credit card debt consolidation. And if you're unfamiliar with debt consolidation, kind of in a nutshell of how it goes, is you hire a third party to pretty much deal with the credit card companies for you. They kind of are working with them on your behalf. So it definitely helps all the phone calls to stop that you get, when you're late on payments, things like that. And they also disperse money that you pay them each month to your credit cards, so they're at least getting payments. So pretty much they're a liaison to the credit card companies. So I thought, perfect. I won't have to file for bankruptcy. I'll be, doing the responsible thing. Also, credit card debt consolidation companies too usually try to work with your credit cards to see if maybe they can get a lower balance so you don't owe them as much as you originally would have if you wouldn't have signed up with them. But anyway, so I thought, perfect. I won't have to file for bankruptcy, and I'm somewhat doing the responsible thing. I mean, I am paying on the credit cards, maybe not the full amount, but I am paying on them. So I signed up for this debt consolidation company, and honestly, if I had remembered the name still to this day, I would totally give it to you, because well, once I get through the story, you'll find out that it was a sham. And I don't mean sham as in like a fraud, but it just didn't go the way I thought debt consolidation should. Excuse me. So I signed up with this debt consolidation company who agreed to disperse payments to my credit cards so they could get paid down and they could get paid off. And each month I was sending them a payment. I want to say my payments for like 4 or 5 cards was maybe $120 a month, which was well over the minimum balance due each month. I think the minimum on each was like 25 at least. So I was sending them the payments. However, I was still getting bills from the credit cards in the mail with continued additions on interest and late payments. And I thought, well, this doesn't make sense because I'm paying this money to the debt consolidation company, and then they are supposed to be paying these credit cards. So there should be no late payments. There should be no more interest, especially if I'm paying over the minimum due. Well, come to find out, and I honestly do not know if was just this debt consolidation company or if it was if this is how it works across the board. But when I called to complain about it, they told me that when you sign up for an account with them, they don't start paying your credit cards right away once you make the first payment to them. They actually let your account build up with 6 months worth of payments to them, and then they start dispersing them to the credit cards. So I did not like that at all, because in my mind, I'm paying these people to help me get this debt down and to zero balances, and they're sitting on my money, and my cards are continually getting late fees and more interest put onto them. So it's going to take me now even longer to pay them off. So I demanded a refund from the company, and they gave me about 95% of my money back. They said they had to keep 5% for processing fees. Don't you love that? So, yeah. So I decided that obviously debt consolidation wasn't the right choice for me. So I looked into it and I decided to file for bankruptcy. So the bankruptcy process, honestly, I don't know, again, just like the debt consolidation, if it's the same across the board, if it depends on what state you're in, if it even depends on your lawyer, although it may not depend on your lawyer, but it may vary from state to state. So, this is my experience with it. So I did my research, and first of all, it said that most bankruptcy attorneys will not take your case unless you have at least $10,000 worth of debt, which I barely made it over that threshold. I had, I think, about 10,400 something. So I did my research and I decided to make an appointment with a local bankruptcy attorney here. Her name is Janice Quatman. She is a wonderful lady, very patient, explains everything in grave detail so you understand what's going on, because, these are your finances. This is your future. This is something that is going to be on your credit report. So I made the appointment to go to a consultation with her. And at that consultation, I pretty much told her, she wanted to know why I wanted to file for bankruptcy, if I had tried the debt consolidation before coming to her, not just jumping to the bankruptcy conclusion. And then we pretty much went over my accounts. I kind of gave her a rough estimate on how much I owed on each card, what each card was as far as the company it was. And she said she was willing to take my case. At that time, she gave me the fees that were going to be charged, and then we set up an appointment for me to come back in about a week, I think it was, and I was to bring my latest statement from each credit card that I wanted to include in the bankruptcy, and then we would go from there. So, what I do want to say is it costs me personally $1,200 to file bankruptcy. That included the lawyer's fee, the filing fee with the court, and the court costs itself. Now, the court fee, which was $300, is not negotiable. That is set by the court. My lawyer had no say in that whatsoever. She couldn't, make them lessen it. It was what it was. It was $300. Her fee, I believe, was $700 or $750, somewhere around there, and then the remaining $1,200 went to filing for the bankruptcy with the court. Now, again, this lawyer was extremely professional, extremely gracious, very patient. She actually set up a payment plan for me to pay her for her services over, I believe it was a 6-month time period. So that was extremely great. I didn't have to have the lawyer fee up front. I didn't have to pay, even half up front. Honestly, I don't even remember having to pay any type of deposit up front as far as the lawyer costs. Now, I did have to pay the court costs and the filing costs up front before she could do anything with it. But as far as as far as the attorney fee, I don't remember paying anything until we actually filed and finished the case. And then she sent me my first bill, and I would just go into her office each month and pay it. So that was extremely, extremely great for her to work with me on that. My finances have, but kind of have not improved since bankruptcy. I'm not saying that I didn't learn anything from the bankruptcy process. I definitely did. I currently have 2 credit cards. They are both Capital One, and actually, with my most recent paycheck, I put a big dent in each one. So I'm definitely going to be working on that. Neither of them is over the balance, and I have been paying over the minimum. Now, you're probably wondering, well, how did you get 2 credit cards if you file for bankruptcy? It can happen. It can definitely happen. So, myths and rumors about filing for bankruptcy and the aftermath of bankruptcy. Some of these I've heard. In fact, I've had friends in the past ask me personally what I thought they should do as far as debt consolidation or just outright bankruptcy. So, the first myth that I hear a lot is that your bankruptcy is on your credit report for 7 years. That is not true. If you file for a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, which is what most private individual citizens file for, it actually is on your credit report for 10 years. And it is on there, it gets removed from the date that your bankruptcy was discharged by the court, not the day that you filed for it. So mine was discharged in May of 2009, and as of right now, April 2018, it is still on my credit report. So it has a little over a year to go, and then it should fall off because that will be 10 years. Another myth is that if you're filing for bankruptcy, you have to include all your assets and include them in the bankruptcy, such as a car or home, things like that. That is not true as well. If you want to file bankruptcy just on your credit cards, then you file on just your credit cards. If you only want to file bankruptcy on certain credit cards, you can include just those certain credit cards. Just because you're filing for credit card bankruptcy doesn't mean you have to include all of your credit cards, especially if you're on time with some of them. Why would you include them in the bankruptcy? So having to include a home or a vehicle in your bankruptcy, simply not true. You can pick and choose what you want to include. Another myth is that once you file for bankruptcy, it is going to be very difficult or even impossible for you to get any type of loan in the future, whether it be a credit card, a car loan, or a home loan. And I can personally tell you that that is not true. About 3 years ago, I obtained a car loan on my own. I did not need to have a co-signer. And 2 years ago, I was able to secure an $80,000 home loan. Granted, it was through a credit union, not a traditional bank. And the reason I didn't go through a traditional bank had nothing to do with my bankruptcy. It was just because my credit score wasn't high enough for a traditional bank to offer me a home loan. So that's why I went to a credit union. And like I said, I do have 2 credit cards. They are both Capital One. After a while, credit card companies do kind of give you the benefit of the doubt that you've learned your lesson, and that you will do right and pay your bill on time and pay at least the minimum payment, if not more. And me personally, I would recommend that you do pay more, because then you don't have any interest. And if you pay more also, it pays it down a lot quicker. So I hope this answered any questions that you may have about bankruptcy or debt consolidation. As I said, personally, if anybody were to ask me, and I have, like I said, had a couple of people ask me, I would definitely tell people to file bankruptcy over debt consolidation. And honestly, after I filed bankruptcy, I felt bad for a little while after doing it. I kind of felt like a failure, but at the same time, I had a clean slate. So I was able to start fresh, get my credit improved, you know, and gain the trust of companies again. And that's why I was able to get the car loan and the home loan, something that I never thought would be able to do after filing bankruptcy. But I'm here to tell you that you can. You can get a home loan, you can get a car loan, and you can get credit cards after filing for bankruptcy. Just use them all wisely. But with that, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it very informative, very educational. Hopefully it'll help you if you're deciding and filing for bankruptcy. And if you are, good luck. Hopefully you get an attorney as good and decent and patient as I had. If you have any other questions about filing for bankruptcy that maybe I didn't address, please leave them in the comments, and I will reply, as I always do, to every comment that people leave me. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you all on Wednesday with another cleaning and organization video. Have a great day. Bye-bye.